Let's come back locally and let's start with what's currently happening. In terms of the demonstrations that we've seen so far in the country, the calls for the demonstrations based on several areas that the leadership of the Azimio have said, we want to have a conversation about the cost of living, we want to have a conversation about electoral reforms, we want to have a conversation about participation of everybody in governance and in leadership. What have you seen so far, and what's your comment?
It is a very, very sad situation that Kenya is a very great country in the region. Kenya has a very strong place geopolitically. But Kenya is always taken down this kind of situation by the internal politics we have in our country after every elections. So right now, if you look at what is going on, in my honest opinion, and even as a security minister, it's no longer a demonstration. It's no longer picketing. What is happening, in my opinion, because I joined parliament in 2007, so I have the history of the post-election violence. What is happening is exactly a post-election scenario. Why do I say so? And with a lot of respect, what are the issues? Let's ask ourselves. One of the issues is, let me start with the IBC. IBC, the same law that has been used in recruiting these current commissioners, is the same law that was used by President Uhuru Kenyatta in recruiting the 4 commissioners, the Charera 4. There is nothing that has been subtracted, added. I mean, I'm the one who passed that law, and it was passed by the House, where even you have key bodies. It's no longer where you have key bodies. The only thing that was done was reduce the number of the political parties' representation. And in fact, if you ask me today, in fact, the political parties should absolutely have no representation in the selection of the referee and the linesmen and women. That was our position even before. So, but because of the tension that then, it was agreed the Parliamentary Service Commission will produce 4 people. I think now they have 2 people. But if you ask me, political parties should be outside the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. They should be an independent arbiter. So they're saying we must be on the table, that this referee and linesmen must be chosen and given to political parties. And you know, people are quoting IPPG. IPPG has been overtaken by the new constitution. You know, IPPG happened during Moi's time. There is a new constitution that has created very robust independent institutions, which can only report to Parliament. You know, the Auditor General, the DPP, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, the control of budget. Those are very key independent institutions. The other issue people are talking about is the cost of living. You know, the cost of living.
I think, was it before we move out of the IBC issue?
Yes.
I think we had the Senator for Nairobi here the other day, and the issue is, fine, you still retained the politicians in the selection panel. 2 coming from the Parliamentary Service Commission, 2 coming from the Parliamentary Liaison Committee. What their complaint is,
political
parties liaison committee. What their complaint is that even the 2 that are coming from the Parliamentary Service Commission, it was not specific that they shall be 1 from minority, 1 from majority. So they don't have a representative there.
No.
And in the political parties liaison committee, they also don't have a voice. So they don't have a representative there. And then you have the presidential appointee, who is the Public Service Commission. So their argument is that the president has his people, 2 from Parliament, 2 from the political party liaison, 1 from the Public Service Commission.
In fact, the Political Parties Liaison Committee is run by the major political parties. They have got serious membership. UDA, ODM, the big parties in this country. So they can't argue about it. Me and you people and myself cannot have a say in the political parties liaison. But the membership of the political parties liaison committee is mainly the political parties. And the bigger seats are taken over by the bigger parties. come to the Parliamentary Service Commission, it's ideally the minority versus the majority. But if you refuse to come to the table where the clerks of the National Assembly and the President's Commission are selecting, and you have not brought the name to represent you, then you cannot at the same time refuse to come to the table. Sifuna and his leadership and Mheshimiwa Wandai, a man I have a lot of respect for, refuse to submit a name. They refuse to come to the table. Then at the same time, they are saying
include us in the list.
Include us. It's just like the way they are saying the President William Ruto should fix the cost of living. On the same other side of the mouth, they're saying Ruto must go. You know, you have to choose either. You have to choose one position. But let me go to the cost of living. The cost of living was with us for the last 2 years. And in fact, if you ask me, it was worse during the last regime. That's why there was huge subsidy in food, in fuel. But people will be shocked in this country that those subsidies ideally were not meant for the common man. And that's why the prices did not go. You have heard about the 34 billion fuel subsidy. It's a major, major scandal that this country will be shocked. The same with the food. The millers are saying, we have not been paid. So they were only promised because of the campaign. But let me come to the whole thing. So today, the cost of living is affected by factors outside the boundaries of the Republic of Kenya. You can go to any country. You look at even the fall of the shilling. You look at Egypt. You look at there are Kenyans who export tea and coffee to countries like Egypt. Now they can't get money because of the issue of the forex. They have supplied people. They have sent tons. So the forex issue is a global issue. Look at the drought that we have faced. God is great. He has opened the skies. Now we have water everywhere. But before that, we had the worst drought. That's going to affect food security. Look at the global situation. The Ukraine, the grain baskets of the world. Ukraine, Russia. Nothing is coming from outside. So the whole issue, in fact, is not even cost of living. I mean, you know, it's good. Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga just comes out. Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga just wants to come into government. He wants into government. I have worked with him. In fact, let me just say it now. My famous book now is published. I think the first week of May I'm going to launch it.
Ah, nice.
Now it's with the printer and everything is done. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to your guys in Standard or Nation to do some serialization.
Yeah.
But I know him. You know, he wants to be in government. And he must find a way to dialogue. The irony is, he doesn't want his members of parliament from his backyard to dialogue with the government. But he wants to dialogue with the government.
Why wouldn't he want that, Waziri? Why wouldn't he want his members of
I
parliament?
think it's because of the tradition that he has and the precedent that has been set. That he shared government with Mzee Moi when they formed the NDP KANU alliance. It happened in the post-election violence. I was one of the members of parliament in 2007. And a number of us said it in the Pentagon. We have, in our own opinion, we look like we have been denied our win. But if we can't get it, for the sake of the people of Kenya, let us take the opposition benches. Because we were more than PNU then. We were 106. But Prime Minister Raila Odinga got so excited, you know, the motor riders and all that. So he went into government. A lot of frustration happened, but he had his piece of the cake. Then came 2017. After election had been resolved, the Supreme Court has confirmed and stamped the result. A true Democrat needs to go and take his place in the opposition. People go to elections to do two things, form a government and form the opposition. Look at our scenario in 2022. I have sat with ambassadors, Western ambassadors, and they told me, during the time of the bombers, they told me your system of elections is more democratic, is more watertight than even in our own countries. Why do I say so? The 2017 Supreme Court made our elections the best in the world by saying the ultimate result will be at the polling station. The portal. You are sitting here. You could tally and add the votes and declare. You didn't have the powers. You had to wait for IBC. But even media houses, individuals could do that. So I think it's very, very unfortunate, very sad for a leader of Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga to take the country through this kind of demonstrations. You look at Anyang' Nyong'o, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o saw what happened on Monday, this Monday, in Kisumu. As a very responsible leader, he said, no demonstrations. And when he reverted back, when he rescinded his decision, I remember he said, but the demonstration should not affect the business of my city. Look what happened yesterday. Supermarkets. I think an institution that he opened 3 weeks ago. But I want to confirm to you that I think this government and even future governments must stamp the constitution and the rule of law. They must not succumb to impunity. What Raila Odinga is doing is impunity. And outside that, there is the element and the extension of the President Kenyatta's hand in all this.
How?
No, of course.
So?
I am a security minister. I will not tell you what is there. When I talk to you, it's not the Minister of Agriculture talking to you.
It is the...
And what is President Kenyatta afraid of? President Kenyatta ran the last 5 years of his administration. He ran the worst state capture under his watch. He ran the worst extrajudicial killings that happened in our country. You were here. People's bodies were being dumped in River Yala. He's protecting his interests. And as late as of yesterday, the Kenyatta family were involved even in yesterday's demonstrations.
When we say involved, Mheshimiwa, we do not see the former president on top of any of the vehicles. We do not see any of his family members, at least the ones that we know publicly.
Demonstrations and picketing and all what's happening in our country is a process. So you can be at the tail end of the process.
So at what point...
You don't need to see him there.
At what point would you say that these are the external factors?
You know what? I'm sitting here. If I can be an evil man, I can carry serious demonstrations and deaths in Garissa today by just funding, by just creating the environment. You don't need to be in Garissa. You don't need to be. That's why if you.
What would the funds be used for?
And
is
also,
it fueling
of what
the
benefit would
vehicles?
it be?
Many.
Is it
today? If you get today, I'm sure if I give you money today, or I tell you to prepare a budget for a function, you'll prepare many things. You don't need. You'll give me.
I'll give you
some items will be very high. Some items will be. Yeah. So it's very, very sad that the same narrative that William Ruto will not become a president. That did not pass. Now they think Uhuru Kenyatta thinks that he can stop William Ruto from governing the country by using Raila Odinga and the Azimio leadership. But at the end of the day, it's Kenya being destroyed. But as a minister and who sits in cabinet, we will uphold the constitution. We will uphold the rule of law. We will allow and protect Kenyans to do their business. Look at the statement given out by the international community. Their first paragraph was about last election. They never spoke about the cost of living, did they?
No.
Because they know the cost of living is an issue in their own country. Even interest rates today are the highest in the US. So I think I really want to take this opportunity to urge the Kenyan media. They have a country to protect. You know what the media has done in our region, You remember the Rwanda genocide. I think the Kenyan media has come of age. I can say it's one of the best media in our region, if not in Africa. But I think they have a moral responsibility
to do so.
To protect, help government protect the lives and the property, report factual You might not like William Ruto, or the owner of that media station might not like William Ruto. But I think all of us in government, outside government, ordinary citizens, we must protect our country not to slide into that.
Mheshimiwa, I want us to take a break. Before we take a break, I just want to confirm something.
Yes.
Once again, you are Cabinet Secretary for Defense.
Yes.
You sit in the National
Security Council. Yes.
You consume the highest level of intelligence in this country.
Yes.
And you have sat here this morning.
Yes.
And you have directly and expressly said that the former president is funding instability in the country. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And this is from what you consume as national intelligence.
I am telling you, that's why I told you in the beginning, I am not the Minister for Agriculture. I'm a minister who sits in the National Security Council. The footprints of the Kenyatta family is found in all these demonstrations and in all this chaos. And not only us, even our international partners are aware.
The National Security Council.
We are telling President Kenyatta, follow the footsteps of your predecessors.
The National Security Council.
In fact, if there's a president who was removed out in a very acrimonious way, was President Moi. You know what happened in Uhuru Park?
Yes.
If there was a president who should have been very bitter, should have been President Moi. But President Moi handed over power in that kind of a situation and remained and lived by the tenets of the law of retirement presidents and their benefits.
Waziri.
Yeah.
After you've consumed this intelligence at the National Security Council, and then you go and sit in cabinet, of course you're the one who then alerts the other members of the cabinet.
National Security Council stuff is not discussed in parliament, in cabinet.
But then you advise the president on what should be done. What is the advice that you're giving? Once you've consumed this intelligence, that you can pinpoint the instability that we are witnessing the beginnings of are stemming from this particular source. What is the solution?
The solution is this, and very simple. Why is the Kenyatta family involved in causing this instability? They are the richest family not in Kenya, in Africa. Is that, and they have sent emissaries. Let me even be very clear. They have sent emissaries that the Kenyatta, the former president and his family should be left alone. Nobody can guarantee them that.
Why not?
No, let me tell you. That guarantee given to them should also be given that guarantee to ordinary citizens like you and me. If there is an audit issue, for example, on the subsidy, and it falls within the former administration of Kenyatta, the public and parliament and institutions will discuss. His former ministers, if they have issues, the independent institutions can still carry. It happened not only in this presidency, it happened in previous presidency under the NAC administration. So you're asking me what advice did we give to the president?
Yes.
And that's why the president is very consistent. The whole shenanigans, what is going on, is to have a handshake, bring Raila Odinga into government so that he can hold brief and do bidding for the Kenyatta family on the crimes that has been committed against the people of Kenya during their last 4 years of their administration. So what is the advice? The president has been very consistent that he will at all times uphold the constitution, the rule of law, protect the citizens' right and property and lives, and that he will not allow, he will be the president that will make sure that the law and the constitution is followed. And that's why even outside this chaos, will be the administration that will, and we'll talk about it, the president will bring an end to banditry in the North Rift.
In the North Rift.
Yes.
Is there,
so that is the advice we have given to the president. He has been very consistent.
Is there advice on the route to justice, bringing those who are behind this to justice?
Behind which now? Which is it?
There's instability that you're talking about. These individuals within the Kenyatta family. Take them to court, anyone?
You know, that is not even, it is not a function of the president or the cabinet. That is a function of independent institutions. The EACC, the DPP, the police, the controller of budget. She's already talking that in 3 days to the election, on the election day, when me and you are voting, There were people who were forcing her to allow withdrawal of 15 billion. The Auditor General, you know. These are the institutions that the 2010 Constitution has created. It's not for William Ruto. William Ruto and his government will just give the policy direction. So I think my advice, and I have worked with him for 8.5 years, he's a very good friend of mine, the former president. My advice is emulate the former presidents. And I don't think William Ruto is not the person to be scared. It's not somebody that you can push him. Because he has one thing which is important, even important for somebody like me who comes from a minority community in our country. Everybody in this country will always be protected by the Constitution and by institutions like the judiciary.
So
William must protect and must defend the Constitution.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.